As the wind erodes and the water corrodes, altering everything we think we know, but we don't. It's all temporary, and it used to, but now the thought doesn't scare me or keep my feet from following one after another until I slumber. Then my mind, not my feet, wander and dream of people and places I'll never see again. I've mended as much mental anguish as I can, and now I try to use this language to take these thoughts from my head to my pen. Cause though I don't speak of my dead friends or the circumstances, often the blow never softens or yields. I'm in a desolate field, lonesome stargazing, night blazing, chasing traces of remembrance and reverence of relevant friends and acquaintances, and faceless and nameless names and faces. And while my mind is racing through these photo albums and quotations, all these people and places far from me, for only land and stars I see when I'm outside of the mile-high city, which is not my city, for I was born 1,000 miles northeast of there in the land of beer and lakes and pistol fire on MLK's birthday, where there is no minorities and segregation's mandatory. But that's a whole nother story altogether, and no matter the weather or hardships that any place brings, I'll still laugh when people shiver and say it's freezing, or say, hey, no wait, I already had 18 mixed drinks, but I guess it's a Midwest thing, and I'm a mess from a dirty city and brought most of this filth I've gathered with me.
Here we are, another episode of Experience Any Weins Live, our opportunity to come together every single week and come up with a game plan. How do we win the next 7 days? This week, we're going to talk about living your life out loud. Yes, that beautiful, imperfect person that you are. Let us celebrate you and all the benefits of celebrating living life out loud. Coming up after the verse.
My work labors on as lovers sleep in each other's arms, remaining calm and collect. I begin my self-reflection process of redemption. Honestly, I don't know where this road leads, or if I'm even going. Could be rowing upstream, or worse, chasing my dreams to the peak, to finally be somebody doing something with what I have, rather than saying again and again that I can't and I won't anymore from this day forward. Cause Lord knows the past is set in stone, the present is yours to mold and to use for future uses. I know I'm a nuisance, I'm told, cause I'm neither young nor giant nor gnome. I don't sleep on these streets usually, though I've made thrones of my own. I don't sit well with idle hands, though don't know what to do when I'm home all alone. I'm a menace thrown from society, and as it lies to me, I'll smile silently as others do as they please. I am watching and listening, and I'm grinning all the while. 'Cause sometimes all you can really do is smile. So as the work labors on, I'll keep on singing my songs, and this day is never done. We just keep on spinning around that sun. And well, through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.
Welcome to another week of Experience Any Weins Live. That's our time to come together every week and talk about what we're going to do this week to improve our fighting position. It's all about improving, not proving. We're going to be talking about that today. My friend and co-host or producer Taylor sent me that meme earlier this week about improving, not proving. And that is the basis to living life out loud. First, though, always a moment of gratitude. This is my opportunity to share in my graciousness and my thankfulness for something that's happened in this last week. Typically, it's somebody. This week, it was lunch. I had lunch this week with Mike Dufik from Dufik Construction. Mike and I, 5 years ago, joined the same Vistage CEO roundtable. And over the last 5 years, Mike has been an ally of mine, a peer, a mentor of mine. And today we had lunch. He was looking at my building, looking to make some improvements here. And we certainly talked about the transactional piece. And then we had lunch. And Mike, who's not known for opening up emotionally, shared some thoughts and feelings in the last 5 years and how he's grown as a business leader, how his business has grown, how our relationship has grown. And so it was really good to take that time. We get lunch about once a year, and it feels like we got lunch just last week. So it's great for us to take that time, break bread, share in our vulnerabilities and our experiences as business owners, and reminds me as I look up to someone like him, like, oh, he's got all the answers. And, he's figuring out life as much as I am, struggling as much as I am day in and day out with certain aspects. And so it's really great to get lunch with him, great to reconnect with him, and to think it's been 5 years of us figuring it out together, side by side. And we'll talk about him a little bit later here. Definitely it was an inspiration behind today's episode. And so I'm very grateful for that, to surround myself with people like him that live their life out loud. Second order of business. I'm here. I love doing the podcast. I love sharing my ideas with the world. And when others share me and introduce me to other people, it allows me to grow my influence. It allows me to get more speaking opportunities and share all this messaging with the world. It allows me to write my next book. At the end of the day, there is a capitalistic mindset to what I do. I love doing what I love doing, and I love doing it because it impacts people's lives and allows me to do more of it. So my ask is very simple. Introductions to business leaders here throughout the Midwest and nationwide that want to invest into their companies. Give me the opportunity to get out there and speak, do my language of leadership 4-hour workshop. That is what pays the bills. That is the influence I have in the world. That gives me the opportunity to meet more and more people, give them all this good stuff that I've learned, allowed me to impact their lives in ways that we never know what it turns into until we actually run the play. We actually do the fucking thing. So I'm very grateful for all those that have introduced me to different people. You never know where conversations are going to lead to. So my ask is for those introductions this week. All right, now let's talk about what we're going to talk about. Living life out loud. When I talk about my 3-step methodology to life, do the fucking thing, tell the fucking world, and show the fuck up. This is that second bucket. They're all about telling the world who you are, imperfectly you, and where you're going, the destination you want to reach. And so as I talk about this, Mike and I had great lunch today. And Mike and I, as we're sitting there, we talk about Vistage. Vistage is a CEO roundtable. So once a month, 8 hours, there's about 14 or 15 of us in the room. And we come together and we talk about where we're at with our business. We talk about where we're at personally, where we're at with our physical, mental health, where we're at professionally. And as we go every month, there's sometimes, as Mike said today, there's some months where he's like, I got it all figured out. And, what do I need to go there? And every month we leave with something. Or other months where it's like, man, I am struggling right now. I am suffering from something. How am I going to invest 8 hours of my week into something that does not have this immediate return? And he gets some clarity from it. And what we both came to the conclusion is that growth-minded people find growth-minded people. There's that old adage, if you want to know who you're going to be in 5 years, look at the people you surround yourself with. Who's the 5 most closest people you are around? And that's where you're going to be. When you got people that are not growth-minded, you got people that are drinking and doing drugs and living the same life they've lived for the last 5 years, that's probably going to be in the next 5 years. You spend some time with people that are vulnerable and transparent and figuring it out and humble enough to admit it. Well, that's who you're going to be. And it's all about that living life out loud. Because in life, we can be in one of 3 places. We can suffer, we can struggle, or we can strive. There's that old adage, suffering in silence. And a lot of business owners do that. They suffer in silence. They never want to admit that they're struggling. They don't want to admit that they're suffering. They don't want to admit that they don't have all the answers. And so then they suffer in silence. And people with depression and frustrations and marriages that have gone rogue, they suffer in silence versus struggling out loud, struggling with other people, struggling by going to AA, struggling as they go have marriage counselors, struggling as they go to individual counseling, struggling as they get in front of other CEOs and say, yeah, I am not great at my job. I don't have all the answers. I am suffering from imposter syndrome right now. Well, it's better to struggle among others than it is to suffer individually for sure. And that's what this living life out loud is all about. It is about letting people know when you're winning, letting people know when you're losing. It's all spectrums. Oftentimes on social media, we see people that are only pointing up the the top 10 hit list, the best of the best. This look at my great, amazing life, and they never share the deep, dark, ugly stuff that got them where they're at. And so they have this unrealistic expectation of what life can be because that's what they're sharing with the world. And really, what it comes down to is what is the quality stuff you're sharing with the right people? I'm all about goals. I'm all about setting goals and achieving goals. I recognize, and the studies have shown it, 83% of Americans do not have goals. 80% of people live somewhere between fear and anger in their lives. So, those of us, the top 20% of us, from a growth mindset perspective, we're living a courageous life. The 17% of us that have goals, we're living a goal based life. 14% of people that have goals, or 14% of Americans have goals and never write them down, while 42% more likely when you write them down to achieve your goals. The only top 3% of Americans, from a goal standpoint, not top earners, not necessarily top any other metric, but top from a goal mindset, a growth mindset. Top 3% have goals and write them down. When you write your goals down, like I said, you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals. You're also 70% more likely to achieve your goals when you have an accountability partner. Now, I've talked about on this show before about how talking about your goals, you're less likely to achieve them. And there's truth behind that. When you tell everybody about your goals, you're giving yourself dopamine you have yet to earn. You're giving yourself credit for work you haven't put in yet. And you are less likely to achieve your goals when you're consistently talking about them to everybody. When you talk about your milestones, though, what you've done recently and what you're doing moving forward, then you're more likely. And yes, this is a math equation here today on Experience Andy Weins Live, right? How do we maximize our chance for success? Well, 42% more likely when we write them down. Write them down. 70% more likely when you have an accountability partner. Get yourself an accountability partner. Less likely when you tell everybody about the goal itself. More likely to achieve success and sustain success, striving in the successful world when you let people know about the milestones along the way. And there's certain things, right? And with all this, you can control. You can control what you tell to who. For me, when I go to my Vistage CEO Roundtable, when I sit down with Mike, it's very simple. Here's Mike. Here's a guy that's also striving for success. I'm not sure what his big goals are. He doesn't know what my big goals are. He knows I have them. He knows I'm making strides. He knows that he's looking at my building here today and saying, okay, how do we build this space out? So maybe he doesn't know where my 3 or 5 year goal for the company are, but he knows one of my next milestones is to expand the offices in the next 12 to 18 months. That's a pretty good milestone. Let me associate with people that A, can build the space, and B, also have that same mindset. Because he's also a business owner that wants to grow his business 25 to 30% year over year. We started our businesses about the same time. We're in the same CEO roundtable. We're both blue collar businesses. And certainly his business is significantly larger than mine is. And yet he can learn from me and I can learn from him because we're living our life out loud. I'm not sitting here and tinkering and saying, ooh, wouldn't it be nice if I had this space? Ooh, I should sit here and think about it and think about it and think about it. Oh, I'll try to script together the capital. Maybe someday it'll happen. Or maybe I get the ball rolling and start talking about it, telling my team about the vision I have. Hey, this is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there. Let's talk about this. Let's have quality conversations with people that can impact where I'm going in this world versus the quantity conversations about being on social media and telling everybody and their brother of all the things that I'm going to do and I'm never going to actually achieve. There's a huge difference here, ladies and gentlemen. And that within the nuance, that's where the winners happen. That's the winning happens when you understand the nuance. Who do I tell what to when? I often struggle from not celebrating my wins. I look at it as, okay, when I apply for an award and I get it, well, that's what I would set out to do. When I put together a pro forma for the year, a budget, my goal is to hit or beat the budget. That's what I'm going to do because I have a history of winning. And so when I do those things, I often struggle to celebrate. And so now I surround myself with people that want to strive to celebrate. I put things in place quarterly for us to celebrate our success at business here. I take time when great things happen to celebrate and strive for greatness with others along the way. That also will drive me for future successes. So the win, celebrate when you win. The small milestones, the large milestones, every milestone in between, because every win is a win. When you get your kid to take the dishes and put them in the dishwasher when that's not normally their thing, celebrate that success. Talk about it. Say, hey, I saw you did that. I like that thing that you did. When your spouse shovels the driveway for you, tell them, hey, you know what? I liked it when you did that. Because when the expectation is that they'll always do it and you never celebrate it, then they might not do it again. This comes down to accountability. When you have people in your life doing the things that you want them to do, celebrate them. Live their life out loud as much as yours. Hey, when you do this, I like it. I want you to do more of that. When you want people that are going to push you, tell the people, like I tell Mike Dufik at Dufik Construction, shout out, little plug for him, right? When I tell him, hey, I want to build up this space. Hey, I want to fill it with employees. Hey, I'm going to grow my business. These are the things I'm going to do, and I need this space ahead of time. He now can look back at me and share in this journey and say, okay, 6 months. Are we on track to break ground next year? Right? What's that accountability look like? Get people that can share your success because you're tying themselves to that success. Mike wants my business to be successful, so his business can take on another project this year. He has more success because of my success. So not only is he accountable, but not only is he holding me accountable to my success, I'm in a way accountable to his success, which is much different than sharing news with anybody and everybody that's going to see the post or the content because you're looking for that satisfaction. You're looking for the likes and the clicks and the comments and, hey, look at me and what I did. No, it's about, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. And now we want to surround ourselves with people that are growth-minded, like-minded. And what happens over time, like with our Vistage CEO roundtable that we do every month, is we start to celebrate other people's successes. When they win, we felt like we won because we were part of their success. And when they fail, we feel accountable in a way that we failed to shape and mold them and give them that right piece of information. Ask that tough, complicated, difficult question, challenging them, push them a little harder out of their comfort zone. And had we done that, maybe they would not have failed. And it gives us some ammunition for the future. The next time we're feeling that little tingle, that urge to say something, to make it uncomfortable, where in the past we might have hesitated, it's now time to poke the bear. Get underneath their skin, push them a little bit harder. Last year, my battle cry was strong enough to be soft because I've had no problem in my life poking the bear, being strong to ask the questions and give the information that might not be digested by the average person. Shame is not an issue that I have. Pissing people off or giving a shit what they think is typically things I don't suffer from. So I'll often ask questions that are out of turn, out of character, out of place, as some may see. And yet I look at them as necessary. That curiosity drives that for me. And so now how do I do that in a way strong enough to be soft? Where I'm being proactive, I'm being curious, I'm being growth-minded versus only being curious to point out other people's flaws. That's my opportunity. And I give myself that opportunity, I give myself that challenge every time I have these conversations because I also give of myself to others. When I wrote my book a couple years ago and I released it, I gave everybody the opportunity to take shots at me, to push me, to poke me, to prod me, to hold me accountable to what I said in that book. Some people have called me a hypocrite. They've called me condescending, right? They say, oh, here you are, Andy. You say you live this way, and yet you still go out and fail. You think you're so great and righteous because you tell people how it is. And it's like, that's part of the gig. I strive for this piece of greatness. I live out loud. And when I fail at my own expectations, when I fail at my own dreams and goals and aspirations, I got people poking me and prodding me, and they'll do it the soonest they can. A couple of weeks ago on the show here, I thanked the people in my life that have pushed me and prodded me and held me accountable. And yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable. And a lot of times I don't like it. Quite frankly, it gets old. And it's necessary for growth. It's necessary for me to go from suffering from something to struggling with something to striving for greatness because I've now embodied this thing, because I've lived out loud. There's a lot of regret people have in this world. And when I've talked to people about regret later in life, they regret not making decisions. They regret not pushing themselves. They regret not speaking up for themselves when they had that tingling, that ember burning inside of them, and they suppressed it and suppressed it and suppressed it. And then eventually people get old enough where they stop giving a shit and they start saying things that are on their mind. You ever notice the oldest people in the room typically are the happiest? Because they don't give a shit anymore. They're dancing and singing like no one's watching. They say what's on their mind because what does it matter? They've achieved this level of enlightenment. They moved through this time and place in their world where they gave a shit what other people thought. The sooner you can find that time in your life, the happier you're going to be. That's what living life out loud is all about. 8 billion people in this world, and you are living your life. Live your life out loud, unapologetic, authentic for who you are to become. My mom always says, to thy own self be true. Do it in a way where the right people are going to hold you accountable and the right people are going to disdain you. They're going to flip you off in your Cybertruck. They're going to tell you you're condescending. They're going to tell you that you're a hypocrite because you say one thing and do others because you fail along the way. Instead of saying, hey, I see you struggling. I see you suffering. Let's strive together. Fly that flag as loud or as high as possible. Sing as loud as possible. The right people will find you and the right people will push you away. And all the time you are being authentic to yourself, living your life out loud. So my challenge to you this week is very simple. Find someone that's going to hold you accountable. Tell them where you're going. Hell, write down where you're going first. For those of you that are not in that top 3%, write down your goals. Come up with a goal. Write it down. Achieve it. Achieve it with others. Celebrate it with others. And when you live that life out loud, it'll beget that momentum. And when you have momentum, it begets more momentum. That's how it works. Get the movement, get the momentum, and live your life all loud. Unapologetic, unafraid, authentically you. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world. Show the fuck up. We'll see you next week.
Through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.